Persons listening to this show should experience varying degrees of euphoria and might radiate a warm glow of truth from their entire being. This phenomenon sometimes lasts hours after a typical brain massage. If you are listening with another lights-on listener and they begin to glow, don't be concerned. This is a phenomenon normally associated with Pastor Scheidbach's patented brain massage technique and merely means the truth has set them free. Be advised. For Pastor Scheidbach, exposing liberal lies and destroying vain philosophies of God-hating, America-despising liberals is like taking candy from a baby. All liberals are hereby cautioned. Pastor Scheidbach is about to rip one or more of your favorite lollipop notions right out of your hand. Too late. A liberal just lost a lollipop. The devil beware. Pastor Scheidbach is on the air.
Hello, I'm Dr. Scheidbach, pastor at the Lighthouse Baptist Church in Santa Maria, California, and your brain masseur. Get ready for your brain massage. Tyler, now who's that? Not Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, the tale of two Tylers. Folks, I am so deeply upset by what the Democrats are doing to children, and now this open physical assault, literally attempted murder, on a school bus by 8 teens piled up on a 14-year-old. My friend, this is truly over-the-top. Details in a moment. Impeachment stumbles forward, staggers along. Will the Dems do it? I understand that over 30, I believe it's 31 Democrats, are not sure that it's a good idea, and some are calling for censure as an alternative to impeachment. And Trump compassionately, by the way, suggests that Greta, chill out. Go see a movie, kid. Be a kid. Dems using an autistic teenager to assault our freedoms. It's unconscionable. But really, it's yawn, right? Nothing new here. That's what fascist cowards always do. They hide behind the women and children. But anyway, then there's the dust up over the mean meme that is deepening Dems' madness. Trump is Thanos, right? Greek, by the way, the word Thanos is Greek. It means death. Snapping his fingers, and Pelosi, Schiff, and company turn to dust. Now, har har. The IG report is carefully structured to provide, I think, as much damage control as possible for the Dems. But there's not much possible damage control they can do. However, even at that, this documents the bias driving the investigations while attempting to provide cover for the Dems with regard to criminal charges. One example in a moment. But the deep state-created IG report will not stop Barr from pursuing truth, justice, and that the America as founded way. Those Dems. Virginia governor threatens to send the National Guard after the Second Amendment sanctuary cities that are defending the constitutionally guaranteed right of citizens to own and bear arms. Yet they, and that is the Dems, not the they as we want to use it now for people that are in between, non-binary, whatever. Okay, they have created such confusion in our language we can't even talk anymore. They declare sanctuary cities to protect criminals that violate immigration laws, which is something not guaranteed in the Constitution or recognized on anybody's list of unalienable rights. And yet they're going to get up in arms, interesting key word, and send armed people in to take away the right of citizens to own and bear. Think about what's going on here. And of course, two black nationalists who are anti-Semitic and anti-Christ Trump haters attack a Jewish market in Jersey, shoot and kill a police detective and 3 civilians, wound 2 police officers and another civilian, and Tlaib offers her take on the assault. Quote, "This is heartbreaking. White supremacy kills," end quote. You've got to be kidding me. So what does all this have in common? What is the common denominator beneath all these stories? Wait for it. Wait for it. My friend, it's time for your brain massage.
Truth served here, flavored with delectable wit, succulent sagacity, luscious logic. A gourmet meal for the mind.
Impeachment stumbles forward. Will the Dems do it? Over 30 Democrats are not so sure it's a good idea. And some are calling for censure as an alternative to impeachment. You know, coming into the 2018 midterm elections, I said that if the Dems get the House, they would impeach Trump. Well, that certainly is what they've been trying to do. That has been, by the way, the foregone conclusion of most. The expectation, really, of all who are aware But then, as I said a few weeks ago, it looks like Nasty Nancy and Adam Shifty are getting some pushback from at least, 31 fellow Dems. What's that? Nasty bothers you? Oh, okay. Kind of like Trump putting Greta in her place, telling that kid to go watch a movie, No, that's not it. Why? Why? Because it means she's a loose woman? Where'd you get that? No, that's not what the word means. I guess it could be used that way since it is used of someone who's morally bad, whose behavior is repugnant to the mind. But, friend, she's a Democrat. And so far as I can tell, loose women are not repugnant to them. And they don't consider them morally bad. But anyway, that's not even close to what I mean. The word means someone that is unpleasant, that behaves in a spiteful way, vicious and vindictive, that kind of nasty. You know what I mean? And by extension, then, the word is used to speak of something or someone that is damaging or harmful. So, yeah, I would say Nancy is nasty. With the caveat, of course, that I'm using the word as it is formally defined and not as it might be used informally by, you. I'm speaking rhetorically. Don't take it personally. Now, if I called her Naughty Nancy, okay, now that would be different. But what she and her fellow Democrats are doing to America in their efforts to overthrow the presidency and our republic is nothing short of nasty. No need to explain the Shifty aspersion against the aspersive casting Adam. So it's not altogether certain that Nasty and Shifty have the votes locked in to get impeachment. Nasty claims she will not whip the balking Dems into lockstep with her goose-stepping Trump hat haters. But that would only be because she does not have the weight or the pull to pull it off. Remember, Pelosi kind of got dragged into this thing kicking. The entire Democrat Party is owned by the lunatic left. And one need only review the statements and antics made by the left or coming from the left over the last year to know that lunatic left is aptly descriptive. I don't have time to, okay, just one. How about the crazy woman in Hanging Chad, Florida, that stabbed herself in the stomach repeatedly because, as she said, she's tired of living in a world where Trump is president. No, literally, this is what she said. The police who responded to a call to the bloody scene reported this woman said, quote, "I'm tired of living in Trump's country. I'm tired of Trump being president," and quote, "the ragers are demon possessed." There's no other explanation for this. Well, at least some of the Democrats have not yet contracted full-blown Trump derangement. Taylor, Horowitz are examples. So there are 31 Democrats, the socialists, anti-Republican, and so anti-America as founded representatives in the House that come from districts in Trump country. And they know they will get serious blowback if they defy the sentiment of their constituency. And as you know, polling, and I mean the real polls, are showing a serious wave of opposition to impeachment is building out there on the population sea. And at least some of those Dems are not quite so crazy as these that get so nuts about Trump they go all Harry-Carry and start insanely stabbing themselves in their own stomachs or shooting off their own feet or, grinding their teeth in rage while they cut off their own noses to spite their face. At least 31 Dems are balking, and some are calling for compromise with their rabid base. The self-stomach stabbers in their party, hoping they will accept a vote to censure the president instead of impeaching him. Well, we'll see. Would you like one more example supporting the charge that the left has gone loony? I hear you saying, AOC, AOC, you're right. Yeah. But what about one of her friends, Rashida, right? The girl that makes radical Muslims proud. 2 black nationalists who are anti-Semitic and anti-Christ Trump haters attack a Jewish market in Jersey, shoot and kill a police detective and 3 civilians, wound 2 police officers and another civilian, and Tlaib offers her own take on the assault. She tweets, quote, "This is heartbreaking. White supremacy kills," end quote. Rashida, anti-Semitism kills. Anti-capitalism kills. Like socialist dictators Stalin, Pol Pot, Chinese dictators in the name of the people who rampage over and kill thousands, who believe attacking your opponents is the answer. Okay, one last example. 8 Democrat-influenced teenagers attacked a Republican-influenced young man, his name is Tyler, and attempted to beat him to death. Now, who's this Tyler? I'm not talking about Steven Tyler of Aerosmith. The tale of two Tylers. Steven Tyler of Aerosmith is angry that Trump uses some of the group's music at his rallies. So he has had his attorneys send Trump a cease and desist order complaining that Trump's use of the songs imply endorsement of Trump from the band. Now, I understand Aerosmith is one of those 60s three-piece bands like Cream and Hendrix, Stones, and so on, and fellow band members Joe Perry and Joey Kramer are, hold your breath, Republicans. Now, doesn't that mean that 2/3 of the group ostensibly would be okay with Trump's use of their music, right? Anyway, but Democrats like Steven Tyler are not, they're not Democratic, at least not in that way. Anyway, I'm not talking about that Tyler. I'm talking about a 14-year-old who was attacked by 8 older and larger students and beaten so badly he was hospitalized. Why did they attack him? Well, he came to school about a week ago or so in a MAGA hat, and the violent reaction he got intimidated him. He got bullied, pushed around, even poured milk on his head, this kind of thing. So he left the hat at home. But ever since he openly expressed his appreciation for the great job our president is doing, these Antichrist-controlled students, full of devils that have been infused into them by the seducing spirits teaching doctrines of devils to the children at that Florida public school, went into a wild rage and began beating this kid on the school bus. Now, I watched the video, retweeted it, by the way, for those who follow my tweets. You can see it for yourself. But I warn you, this is deeply disturbing. I mean, it is infuriating. I'll give you some more detail about this on the other side of the break. Folks, I'm so deeply upset about what the Democrats are doing to America and to America's children. And now this open physical assault, literally an attempt to murder a kid because he supports Trump. This is just, it's beyond
God's
War.
War, Why Christians Should Rule the World. A shocking statement to many, but our founders didn't think so. John Jay believed Christians should prefer believers to rule our nation because Jesus is the King and all mankind are subject to his crown. Our founding fathers understood this and acknowledged Christ as King. Satan once boasted all the kingdoms of the world were his, but no longer, because when Jesus died on the cross, he broke the power of Satan over this world and cast the prince of this world out. When Jesus rose from the grave, he declared, "All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth." Jesus sent his Spirit into the world, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. But where the spirit of Antichrist is, there is tyranny. The Spirit of Jesus Christ is greater than the spirit of Antichrist. Now, you can learn how to unleash the power of Christ into the world to defeat the spirit of Antichrist. Learn how you can defend liberty through the authority of Jesus Christ. Free the world from the spirit of tyranny. Get God's War, Why Christians Should Rule the World today. Go to www.books@dbp.com. The devil beware. Pastor Scheidbach is on the air.
Hello, welcome back. I'm Dr. Scheidbach, pastor of the Lighthouse Baptist Church in Santa Maria, California, your brain masseur, and Paul Revere's lantern lighter, lighting the lamps in the church belfry arch, signaling the enemy is on the march, an enemy that would steal from us our liberties. Tyler's 14 years old. He attends a public school in Florida. He used his own money to buy a MAGA hat a while back and proudly wore it to school. The radicalized Trump hat haters bullied him mercilessly, so Tyler decided he would not wear his hat to school. But this did not satisfy these bullies, because, you see, submission to bullies never satisfies them. It only encourages them to continue bullying, and yielding, further, only invites them to increase their attacks and to demand more and more and more of you. And that is what happened in the case of 14-year-old Tyler. The bullying went on, but he did not tell his parents about it. Typical. So one day, while on the bus, 8 larger students began tormenting him, and it escalated until one big girl punched him in the face and began pounding on him, and 7 others joined in, beating him, One kid stomped on him, and he was taken to the hospital. I don't know where the bus driver was, AWOL, I guess. But anyway, the perpetrators were all suspended, and the video and other testimony was gathered and given to the state attorney general for prosecution of a hate crime, and that's exactly what it was. Hey, Maxine Waters, are you going to send these kids a signed photo of yourself, calling on all Trump haters to get in their faces and to let them know they're not welcome? I suppose Maxine Waters watches this video and says to that chick slapping and pounding that kid, and I mean taking his head and pounding it against the side of the bus. That's what it looked like. I could hear Maxine say, "You go, girl." Because Maxine and the rest of you holding the president's mock-bloodied head and others depicting the president being killed and the rhetoric of violence we hear regularly from the radicalized left, you are responsible for this. This is real violence. But you want to get all heated up about a mean meme. Yeah, someone put out a meme of Trump as Thanos. By the way, the name Thanos is a Greek word, or the word Thanos is a Greek word that means death. So they put Trump's face on Thanos in this meme as he snaps his fingers, and then it shifts over to a picture of Pelosi, Schiff, and company being erased. And Don Lemon is appalled. He's aghast. He can't believe this is happening. He takes it seriously. Seriously, folks. Lemon takes this seriously. The ideology undergirding Democrats makes them stupid. Now, you know, the Brits have an expression, stupid o'clock. Well, it's stupid o'clock on the dim side. Anyway, weird. Examples abound. 51 genders, enough said. Democrat ideology dumbs people down. I mean, it's all, hey, I know. Hey, here's what we should do. Let's do to America what socialism did to Venezuela. Right? Case closed. So, hey, Lemon, really? You don't get the metaphor? Do you know what a metaphor is? Surely you do. You attended Brooklyn College, right? Later, Louisiana State. I mean, you surely were told about metaphors back in Baker High School. I'm sure you learned that a metaphor is understood to be a representation by comparison between two otherwise very different things. Yeah, it's a non-literal thing, you know? I mean, to get technical, it's a figure of speech, right? You know, where we use a word or a phrase to identify something or someone or some action or describe somebody, so on. But it's not literally applicable. You did get that, didn't you? It's not literally applicable. In other words, Trump is not Thanos, okay? He's not going to snap his fingers and turn the Democrats to dust. So calm down. I had a little bit of fun with this, but listen, there's a point here. That particular meme is universally known to be of a fictitious character, and as in all metaphors, not only is the correlation between the metaphor and that which it is being used to describe not 100%. Metaphors don't, as we say in my business, they don't walk on all fours. What that means is you have to exercise a certain, at least modicum of intelligence to, well, get it. Not everything about Thanos transfers to Trump. Not every effect of the snap of Thanos transfers to the snap of Trump. For example, when Thanos snapped, the effect was, at least so far as Thanos was concerned, serendipitous. Right? You know that word. Occurring or discovered by chance, but with a slant on the happy side of it. A happy happenstance. Okay? A fluky, random. It didn't target Democrats only when Thanos snapped his finger. So it was a metaphor. And if you require help interpreting it, I'll offer. Trump's presidency is destroying the Democrats' deep state apparatus and their by extension, their oppression over Americans in this country. And he's doing it with little more than just, well, being who he is, which we might say is represented by the snap. But the metaphor of the Thanos snap is actually really far more appropriately descriptive of the Democrat deep state. You see, Thanos believed death was the answer. Democrats consistently recommend death as the answer to, well, just about every social problem. Overpopulation? Well, I know. Let's kill off a few billion. Irresponsible sexual behavior. Here's the answer. Kill the innocent baby. That fixes it. Old people putting a drain on health care paid for by tax dollars? I know. Let's kill them off. And let's start at, I'll tell you what, let's start at 80. And as for the snap, well, before Trump came along, all the Dems had to do to pull all on the left into lockstep with their agenda to turn America as founded into dust was to snap their fingers. That's about all it was. And virtually the entire black community fell into rank and voted for them, and all the lifer Democrat voters and unions and so on all across the nation all kowtowed to the snap of the Democrats. But no more. I need to move toward conclusion, and I wanted to touch on the long-awaited IG report. Now, I have only had time to peruse it cursorily, but it didn't take long to see that this report is, I don't know, I could be wrong about this, but I think it's carefully structured to provide as much damage control as possible for the Dems. And here's one example I noticed. The report concludes that there was no bias in the origination of the Russia probe. That's where some of the left are coming off with this. They're not taking into consideration the whole report. But anyway, however, it admits this probe was premised upon allegations related to Papadopoulos, supposedly claiming he had information from the Russians that would help Trump's campaign against Hillary. I did a show a while back exposing the fraudulent way Papadopoulos was used, or there's sometimes a thing or two that takes place that makes you think maybe he was privy to the scam. But anyway, that's my first blush response to the IG report. I believe this was a scam from the get-go. It was a setup, and it was fraudulently pursued from the beginning. Anyway, that's my first blush response to the IG report. Nevertheless, there is certainly enough in the report to support further investigation by Barr and company. So, my take? While there is evidence the deep state created IG report was cast in the best light possible, there wasn't much good light to cast it in. It was written to protect Democrat crossfire hurricane operatives from prosecution, perhaps. But in the end, it admits enough of the truth about what happened to justify Barr moving forward aggressively in his pursuit of truth and justice, the America as founded way. So let's wrap up another great show, shall we? Do you remember when Rodney King was beaten by LAPD? Some of you are old enough to remember that. If not, let me tell you that the news media ran that clip 24/7 for almost a month. Well, now you have 8 liberals who ganged up and beat up a kid for supporting Trump, and you have to go out of your way to find the clip. Now, I have, with tongue-in-cheek, used the expression Democrat for many years, as my listeners know, to make the point that the devil is behind much of what was then developing in that party. So far as I know, I created the expression, but it's a natural, right? Really, it is. So I'm sure any number of minds would come up with it. I'm sure I couldn't get a copyright on it anyway. Har har. But it's not funny anymore. You see, there is this Bible verse that warns us about seducing spirits teaching doctrines of devils, and it explains a whole lot of what's going on down in the demon-possessed Democratic Party. That's like the devil holds that party in his hands. Now, I know our friend Starnes got into trouble for being arguably too broad in his use of metaphor in comparing the Democratic Party to worshipers of Moloch. But he was right on. That is the spirit operating in that party today. Now, this is not to say the spirit of Moloch does not have a hold on anyone on the right, but I think it is obvious that the penchant for sacrificing babies on the altar of personal convenience is pretty much a Democrat thing. But to offer a caveat carrot to those few Democrats who are pro-life, I will aver that at least 5 Democrats in the world respect the sanctity of human life from conception. Okay, it might be more than 5, but not much more. Take the other policies of Democrats today. Anti-capitalism, anti-traditional marriage, anti-America, really, anti-Christ, certainly. They rage against the bands and cords of Christian morality that have held the evil tendencies of our nature in check. But now they rage against the bands and cords of Christian morality and desire to break those bands of God's laws asunder and to cast off the cords of Christian moral restraint. And not only from them, but they go farther today and insist that we join them in this abandonment of our Christian heritage. And now look at the results of this. Just look at this mess. The Democrat Party has zero respect for the cherished fundamentals of liberty, free speech, the right of the people to own the product of their own labor, to freely invest that product in capital, to create jobs and increase wealth, or to freely trade one's labor for income. The Democrats have no regard for innocent until proven guilty, no respect for the legitimate expectation of privacy, say in a phone conversation, Mr. Shifty. They would trample upon the rights of anyone that get in their way. No regard for the traditions of justice in this country, the right, for example, of representation, the right to face your accuser. They're just trampling on all of it. Do you not see that the Democrat Party today is literally destroying all the supports of liberty and social order? Well, you watch those 8 kids beat up that 14-year-old on the school bus with no one coming to his defense, and you're looking at society cut loose from the bands of divine law and the cords of Christian moral restraint. That awful scene, that horrifying, chilling, disturbing scene stirs indignation in my heart against those brutal bullies, yeah, for sure, but also against the ideology of the left that has cut these kids loose from the moral restraints of Christian religion. And the knife they use to cut the hearts of these kids away from those moral restraints is the doctrines of devils they feed our kids daily in these wicked indoctrination camps called public schools. Once again, not all, but enough so that it is fair to characterize the entire education establishment in America as Satan's Sunday school. Only it's 5 days a week, Satan's day school. And then there is constant reinforcement of the wicked doctrines they teach there 24/7 in our culture today. Now, these devils work their way into the lives of our children through these doctrines of devils. So some of them, too weak of mind and heart to stave off the self-destructive impulse that is the heartbeat and part of all modern-day liberal ideology, or that is underneath it. Some of these ridiculous people are stabbing themselves in their own stomachs, like the demon-possessed children of Jesus' day who would throw themselves into the fire or into the water to drown themselves. And I'm going to go into all the statistics indicating the rise of suicide that tracks right along with the increasing influence of these doctrines of devils. The only sure solution is for Christians to say, this is enough, and to reinsert themselves into the culture and start being the salt and light Christ Jesus sent us into the world to be, and to start swinging the sword of the Spirit, the Word of God, the truth. My friend, only the truth can set us free, and only the truth will keep us free. This evil that has come into our land through the insidious work of teachers and other media indoctrinating our children in doctrines, teachings of the devil himself, has got to be confronted. Devils ride into power through their lying doctrines. We must counter with the truth. Get God's war. Why Christians should rule the world. Now, you better get it today and get informed about what's really going on. And by the way, if you want to know what Christmas is really all about, then you get my book, God's War. And you can get that by going to www.books@dbp.com. Now, the books at DBP, it's not that little ampersand you use in an email address. It's just the word AT. So books at dbp.com. I've lit the lamps to the church belfry arch, and now you let me know you see they're on. You can call 1-805-314-2114. Leave a message for me on our listener response hotline. Email me by going to our website at BrainMassage.net. Find the contact button, send me an email. God bless you, my dear friends. God bless America. And I'll see you in church.
God's War, Why Christians Should Rule the World. A shocking statement to many, but our founders didn't think so. John Jay believed Christians should prefer believers to rule our nation. Because Jesus is the King, and all mankind are subject to his crown. Now, you can learn how to unleash the power of Christ into the world to defeat the spirit of Antichrist. Learn how you can defend liberty through the authority of Jesus Christ. Free the world from the spirit of tyranny. Get God's War, Why Christians Should Rule the World today. Go to www.books@dbp.com. Tune in Saturday at 12 noon